Welcome back to the Go Deeper podcast. This is going to be a good one today because we are talking about paying to play. And what we mean by that, sometimes you got to pay to get into the right circles, to get the right training, to get the right nutritionist, to get to the right event, to get in the bigger level circle group that you need to be in. And so, Amber, start off with paying to play.
I think the first time, I always go back to when's the first time I saw this? And I was an athlete, but I just played high school sports. My parents were in a place and my sisters were at a level where they actually paid for them to play AAU basketball. And our high school sports were okay. But the athletes that my sisters were exposed to at that AAU basketball level were like D1 full ride college scholarship athletes. And when you introduce yourself to this new circle and you learn how do they eat, how do they train, what are they doing on the weekends, my sisters played basketball, how much extra practicing were these girls doing outside of practice? They were putting in the reps and putting in the work 365 days a year, just not when it was basketball season. And when you can pay to be in a new level of life, you learn what those people do and how they move and what their thought processes are. And then you, the sudden, can take those things, and the pay to play is really an investment in yourself. You're paying to be around bigger people that are levels above you so that you can learn from them, so that you can become that.
Sure.
But I don't think I saw that, but I don't think it resonated with me yet. I think it was probably late in my 20s or early 30s when I realized, and even came to you, and you would say to me sometimes when I'd be like, I need to go to this real estate conference. And you'd be like, why? You're already doing so well.
Because I'd never been exposed to it.
Right.
And then looking back, and the first thing that pops in my mind, and I'll never forget this, I think one of my best friends now, Joe Barker.
Yeah.
I didn't know Joe then. He come to guest pose our Aliment show, I think in 2004. And when he came, I saw this freak monster, 300 plus pounds. I'm like, what is he doing that I'm not?
Right.
And Joe's a little bit older than me, but I'm like, I couldn't believe my eyes. And so when I saw him guest pose, I reached out to him shortly after that, didn't have a clue who he was, or, we didn't know each other like that. And I was like, could you help me with my diet? I will pay you. And that was my first time in my way before I met you, early bodybuilding. And he was like, absolutely. He was super affordable. And then when he taught me the nutrition and all that went along with it, and how to do the protein shakes and how to cut the carbs out, I looked the best I'd ever looked. And then it was a progression after that, learning, because there's different people for different stages of life. And so that was my first time ever really paying to get in the circle of something like
knowledge.
You're
paying to get in the circle of knowledge.
Right.
And there's levels of knowledge to life.
Correct.
I think if I were to be like a person that's maybe doesn't understand that or hasn't experienced that, it can be a scary place at times. And there's been many times that Stephen has told me, like, you deserve to be in that circle. But it's like you can have that scarcity, fearful mindset of, am I worthy of being in that circle?
Sure. Yeah.
How am I going to be accepted? And I think what you don't realize is if you're hungry and you have a desire to learn, the people that are in that circle would love to pour into you. And they're not going to be afraid of whatever knowledge you're seeking. They're not going to be afraid to share it with you because they're at a level of life that's above you, that's probably a place of abundance where they're looking for other people to pour into sometimes. So I think that it happens twofold. You find this circle that you want to be a part of, and then the fear and the negative self-talk sets in of like, I'm not worthy, or you have imposter syndrome, which just means you haven't done it enough.
Sure.
Everybody in that room, I promise you at one point in time, was fearful to walk into that room. You're just like them. You are probably sometimes in some aspects of your life genius compared to where they're at in certain aspects of their life, and then vice versa. So whether you realize it or not, those rooms, just as much as they can pour into you, you can pour into those rooms too. And that's the one aha that we have probably learned. And I think it's been beautiful for us to go to certain conferences together because it's exposed you to things that you had gotten exposure like in the Olympia. And we're going to talk about that. But it's allowed you to see a different aspect of the business world that's poured into you. But it's also you've poured into them too.
Sure.
And brought in a different dynamic to the table. So you just have to understand you're going to reach a ceiling of the environment you're currently in. And you have to get in bigger circles to continue to grow. And that circle is probably at some point in time going to be outside of your little 1 hour place where you can drive.
Sure.
And you're going to have to pay to go to a conference. You're going to have to pay to get a coach that's above you. That's a scary circle to probably walk into at first, but you got to do it. If you want to grow and you want to level up, you got to pay and realize it's an investment into your future self that it may cost you $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. But if it's the right circle, it should pay you back 10 times that, probably within a year or two, to be quite honest with you. So it's like you make a future deposit into your bank account by making investment into yourself to pay to be in those circles. And then I think the most beautiful thing that it's done, and it's affected Stephen's business probably more than mine, is it's bought us relationships. And that may sound very ugly, but what you're doing is you're buying yourself relationships to grow your network. And your net worth is a direct correlation with the size of your network. So when you can buy your way into bigger groups of people, to higher levels of influence, it's going to directly help you grow your business and your net worth as a person. And we've seen that compound with you exponentially because you can buy and sell gym equipment all over the world. So really, everywhere you go, your clients are everywhere. Everywhere. And when we're going to these high level conferences where people are high level thinkers and high level producers, those are the people that are really tied into more health and fitness.
Well, even every time I go to your real estate, I
That's what
remember
I'm
in
saying.
Miami, remember the
Yeah.
kid asking me for a photo after
Yeah.
the EXP conference?
Yeah.
It's, and I want to dumb it down for everybody for a second, Amber.
Yeah.
So what Amber's saying, okay, let's just say the conference is $1,000. I'm just using this as a number, guys. They're all across the board in prices.
Limitless.
So you may say, well, I'm the man or the woman. Why would I pay to go to that? Well, first of all, they don't know you.
You're a big fish in a small pond.
You're a big fish in a small pond. So you got to pay to arrive in their circle. They have thousands, if not millions, sometimes involved in putting on the conference, the keynote speakers and all this. It's not just going directly in someone's pocket. Sometimes these things are not even profitable.
No.
So you're paying to go because of there is cost associated with the conference. A good friend of ours, Eric, had one of the best conferences I've ever been to. He told us out of his own mouth, he lost money out of his own, but he didn't care. The reason I tell everybody this, that don't look at it as like you're paying to go and buying someone's relationship. When we're at these events, the handshakes and the people who all paid to go has then set up dinners and all these relationships, or many times one or two of these people has reached out to me 1 month, 6 months, 2 years later, and hey, Stephen, we met over here. I'm building a new house. I need you to build my home gym. I mean, she's seen it done 50 times over because she's invoiced them. And it always is that handshake and just giving somebody that time. And I think people don't realize you're not physically paying someone to buy them. You're paying to get somewhere, to be in front of those 1,000 people that you can connect with on a higher level because they all paid to get there. And that's a beautiful thing in the sense of, like, I always tell somebody something, or this. You've seen this before. We're all playing for fun, a card game. And let's put, hey, $5 a hand. It gets serious fast.
Yeah.
You could play for $1. Go bet in golf. And when people pay for something, it's a different level of service. It's a different level of thinking. So I always enjoy when we go to these places and we meet these people, because the connections we have made and the levels of conversation we've had is awesome.
It's expanded our mind. I think the first place I learned this was when my dad looked at me and said, if you want to go to college, you're going to pay for it yourself. And when you're paying and you're investing in yourself, it's a different level of intensity that you show up with.
Sure.
One of my coaches told me years ago, and he told me this: if somebody's not willing to invest in themselves, why would you invest in them?
Agreed.
And I've always believed that. He said, if you tell them to read a book, you make them buy the book. If you tell them to go to take a class, you make them pay for that class, because people show up different when they have skin in the game. So I believe when you go to these conferences and you have skin in the game, you're there for a purpose. I always say I'm going to meet at least one person. I'm going to make one connection. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to get myself uncomfortable one more time. And in doing that, it grows you in so many ways, but it builds your network. We have friends all over the world. We're at a point in time in our life where we have to usually get in an airplane to go see our people, which is okay. I'm
For
very
dinner
grateful
and
for.
fly back.
For dinner and fly back.
Remember when we flew to New York? We were going to New York for one day.
Yeah.
And Amber texted our good friends
Yeah.
Nancy and Ron.
Yeah. Love
And they Ubered in New York an hour and a half from their house to meet us for dinner, because we were only there one day, which if they're watching this, I'm so grateful for.
Yeah.
And literally we flew back the next day. But it was awesome to see them in such a rare moment.
But I would say what it's going to do is it's going to take you from being a big fish in a small pond to like growing your mind to being a small fish in a huge pond. And when you can put yourself in a huge pond and take the information that you learn, you're investing in yourself. The amount of money we've made from going to conferences and the amount of money we've invested, the return is exponential. You can go to college, and college is going to cost you way more than these conferences are. But I promise you, the relationships and the valuable information you get from them is going to pay you back much more than college ever would.
But I do want to talk about this. Do you remember back when we used to go even to, let's say, Olympia,
Yeah.
and some of your events especially, I would get on Amber. I've always been the social butterfly. Amber can be a little not like that.
Between the two of us, I'm introverted.
Yeah,
Most people think I may be extroverted, but I'm actually introverted.
Yeah, she's very different than me.
A big room can shut me down.
Yeah. And she don't mean anything by it. She's not being rude. It's just her. So I used to this is 17 years ago, I'd be like, babe, don't be rude. And she wasn't being rude. She just didn't speak if she didn't know you. Whereas I'm from the South. I'm much more bubbly. And so, but you would get into the big room and not meet anyone. And Amber would almost be in the back corner. And I would say, babe, you got to go talk. Whereas we would go to Olympia and she would see me shaking hands, waiting in line to meet someone. And I told somebody this a couple days ago. How does it start? How did you meet these people, Stephen? How did you meet all these people? And I'll tell everybody, this is no secret. 20 years ago, hey, I walk up to somebody, I shake their hand, I speak to them for 30 seconds, I leave. The next year, I walked up to them again. Hey, didn't I meet you last year? Yeah, you did. My name's Stephen from Super Fitness Gym Equipment. I shook their hand again, talked to them this time for 2 minutes, left. Third time, hey, Stephen, now they remember the name. Everybody's always told me I'm unforgettable.
Because you were doing this before like social media was a thing.
Yes.
So it was that one handshake a year that made the emotional deposit into those people's bank accounts that built over time.
Right.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you
Yeah,
but I was just thinking out loud. Social media gives you a different dynamic now.
By year 7 that I've talked to this big guy or whoever it was, now we're on full-blown conversations. How's business? How's this? Maybe he's bought a piece of equipment, or maybe he's not bought anything, but he's referred me people. And I'm always tell people, I'm so grateful for the moments, them stepping stones. So I used to always pay to go to Olympia, still do. Those plane tickets, those Olympia tickets, those expo tickets, all the food, all that. Sponsorships. Those were all small deposits of meeting those people, the network, that then they are in turn buying equipment from me. And I'm going to put this out there. I don't go to Olympia to sell one piece of equipment. I'm a bodybuilding fan. I would go pay and be happy just to be there. You know this.
You go to see your friends that you've created now over the years, and you go because you love the sport.
Absolutely.
And people see and feel that genuineness in you, that you don't have any other agenda but that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you successful in that
honestly,
world.
I go to
support your people.
To support my people.
Yeah.
And to give back to the community that's gave me so much, because I just wanted to be on the stage. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about.
That is, though, that's paying to play.
Well, it is paying to play, but
you got to pay to get in that room.
Right.
If you didn't go to the Olympia, you wouldn't have the contacts.
But I don't want people to think like this just happened.
No, this is like 20 years that happened.
Yeah. This is
You were
years
doing
and
this a
years
long
ago.
time ago.
Even before I went to Olympia, I was going to local bodybuilding shows, shaking hands, competing, all the things. And so I tell people this. I'm like, listen, you got to get yourself out there. But most people don't, Amber, because they say, I don't have the money. I can't spend the money. I've got Christmas coming up. I've got this. And you remember you've been to some conferences before. I've heard they'll have a random person stand up that says, I spent all my bank account to come
Yeah.
here. And
That
it's almost
always like
it
makes me
it almost is gut
like
wrenching.
you are throwing it all on red, but good for you.
Yeah,
Good for you for like believing that this can change your life
yeah,
because it can if you walk into that room.
and
And I'm going to be vulnerable and say, like, I am the one that can go to a conference, get information, go back and implement it. I haven't always valued like networking and meeting people as much until I saw it like be a thing. And it is a thing. You have to pay to put yourself in positions to grow yourself. What I mean by that in the real estate world, you can be a top producer in your area, but if you want to grow your level of influence and if you want to grow yourself as a person, and let's say I want to recruit more people, or let's say I do want to speak on stages, like there is a pay to play. There's a scratch my back, I scratch your back sort of game that you got to play to do those things. But you have to get yourself exposure. People only know you that have a level of influence around you. You have to put yourself in a room to earn a level of influence with a higher level of people that say, like, Amber is a top agent. She does have a lot of value she could provide me. Like, I want her in my world. I want her to speak to my people. I want her to say, like, what is she doing to sell 100 houses a year, year over year over year? What is she doing to help other agents on her team do those things? Just like in Steven's business, like he has earned a place and a position of authority because he's proved himself. He's done the work. He's put himself out there. He's built those relationships. I went through a season of like I had kids. I was hormonally off. And then I support him in his business. Like I can't just drop everything because I pick up the kids, I take them to school. I'm like the main person for the kids. I can't just drop everything because I get an opportunity to go and do something. So even still, I'm in a place in my life where I have to say no
the sad part
a
is, not to
lot.
interrupt you, Amber's turned down 3 or 4 things
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
I truly feel not that she wanted to. It
No,
was
I
just
didn't
the
want to. I like
wrong.
battled it.
And I know she battled it because we talked about it. But part of me was like, look, let's jump on a plane, do the event, and fly back the next day. But we were in the middle of football season for our
Yeah, I never want to
children.
regret missing my
We
kids.
met, we missed one football game this year, not because we wanted to. I was like heartbroken leaving my son to fly to Las Vegas because we're missing a football game, which in the real scheme of things is nothing, but it is something to me
Mm-hmm.
because I want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So there is
So
like
know that we have these battles
sacrifice.
too, right? Yeah.
Say what?
We have these battles still. It's not like something
Yeah.
that goes away.
We're not telling everybody to go jump on airplanes and fly around the world and network and
No.
leave your business and leave. It's definitely some give take.
I think you have to seek alignment. You have to make sure that you're not just doing it for your flesh, but you're doing it and getting in the right circles. Anybody, if you've lived a significant amount of time, you can know that you've thought you wanted to be in a circle and then you got in that circle and I was like, these aren't my people. They don't align with my beliefs. They're not doing what I really think they're doing. Especially in today's social media world, life can look roses and butterflies, but you get around those people and you're like, I don't want to do business how they're doing business.
Sure.
Like they're doing business in a way that's not aligned with who we are. It's not real. It's not sustainable. It doesn't bring me joy. That's when you know you like shut the door and you find a circle and know that they're out there. I think for a while, like I had been in a circle that wasn't aligned with me and it made me like shut down. And then I had to realize like there are people out there that want to live life how I want to live life.
Yeah.
And I need to make sure that I align myself with those people and their values align with mine and they're doing business how I want to do business. And I can learn from those people. And it's beautiful to just see, if we were to reflect back over the past 2 years, the people that we've aligned with are going to be people that change our lives.
Sure.
And that's beautiful. We've instantly came back from some of the conferences and really kind of grew lifelong friendships where we talk to these people daily or weekly now. We're cheering each other on. We're learning. We're
It's
leaning
almost
into
like
them.
godlike moments
Absolutely.
because these people were like put in our, like,
The door opened, but we did step through it. I could have easily not talked to somebody like Emily Ford when we were in Coeur d'Alene.
well, let's talk about that. So this woman walks in the bathroom.
I had in my
And
mind, this is what I was doing when I was there, though. Like
and
I prepared myself for
yeah,
it.
so this woman walks in the bathroom and you literally turn to me
Hmm.
and Daniel is right there
I
with the
think he has it
video.
on film,
Yeah,
actually.
he does.
Yeah.
And so we brought our videographer to this event and we didn't really know what we were going to film.
No.
Just like we wanted to like behind the scenes almost. And and you turn around and you're like, "Oh my God, there's Emily." And I was like, "Wait on her and introduce yourself."
Hmm.
And I felt your
Hmm.
like uneasiness because that's
Hmm.
not Amber's style.
No.
And so,
We've been around a lot of famous people, and I'm never the one that wants to go up and like fanboy over
right,
them. I want them to like see me I want to see them as a person. I
right.
don't want to see them as the famous
But you got
person.
to remember, everybody,
Yeah.
they're all just
It's an
like
imposter
us.
syndrome. It's the imposter syndrome hitting in. Yeah.
Yeah. So Amber, she walks out of the bathroom. Amber walks up to her. They hug. It was a beautiful moment. And because Amber, you're no different than Emily. And I'm not saying
For
any
sure.
disrespect to Emily.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
it was great. And I'm
Yeah.
sure she appreciates you doing
For
that.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you wouldn't have, y'all wouldn't have made that connection.
No, absolutely not. And that's when like
And I like her husband too.
Yeah.
And so
You are
now,
very aligned with them.
right.
Yeah.
So that's like the beautiful thing about, but imagine you don't go up to her.
Right.
You never met her.
Yep.
I wouldn't know her husband now.
Right.
We wouldn't know anything.
I think sometimes when you walk into those rooms, being the introvert that I am, I just expect people to see me and be like, see me. People don't see you.
Well, then hang on. Let's back that up. So the event that we're at is Eric Rock's event,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, which is wild.
which is wild. So for anybody watching this, let me tell y'all how I met my friend Eric. So I went to an event that we were invited to in Utah, and we're leaving Utah, and
We go to the event because let's tell them who's there.
okay.
Okay, there's Ed Milet,
Yeah.
who I loved and wanted
David
to see.
Goggins.
David Goggins, who I loved.
Gary V.
Gary V, who I loved.
It was probably the best speaker.
Lineup ever known
Right.
to man.
Mhm.
I mean, who else? Tim Grover was
Tim
there, who was
Grover.
Michael Jordan and Kobe's trainer.
Andy Elliott,
Andy Frisella.
Andy Frisella.
Just what it was like. It was the A team
I
in
mean,
an event.
so many. Pace Morby,
Yeah.
the funnel guy.
Yeah.
I mean, speaker after speaker after speaker after
Yeah.
speaker. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
It was just like one rock star after another.
And we're leaving that day, and I'll never forget. Where two guys stop us in the airport, Renee,
yeah.
not
Oh,
the
yeah,
airport. I'm sorry, in the
yeah. In
hotel.
the hotel lobby,
And they were like, "We saw you at the party," and so every
which we paid additional money to go to
Yeah,
be at
right.
like the speakers party.
right.
And I'll tell you, this is the moment that like kicked me in my, you know what? When we paid a significant amount of money to go to this speakers party and we were around all of those people
Amber froze.
rubbing elbows. You froze too. We didn't
Well-
go up and really talk to anybody.
You froze with Ed Milet.
Yeah.
We were right beside of him.
It was right after my father passed away, and I was probably not in an emotional place to go talk to
Right.
him, but I wanted to go talk to him because he had lived a very similar life to what I had lived,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to pick his brain, but I wasn't ready to.
But
at that
everybody
moment.
was talking to him. It was difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
It is what it is.
But I still could have went up to him.
You should have. But we ended up meeting him anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
After that,
After,
like,
yeah.
it could have been, not been if we wouldn't have been the right place. But
that fired me up to be like, don't ever do that again.
Right.
When you pay to play to get in those circles, be intentional.
Right.
If you're paying to get in close vicinity with somebody, go get in close vicinity with that person.
but
like,
I
don't
knew deep
waste
down
it.
we were going to meet him, which
Yeah,
is weird.
yeah. Me too.
So, anyways, we're leaving. We were there. You remember we flew in and flew out.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a long distance for us to go. We're leaving the hotel. There's two gentlemen sitting there that said, "I saw you at the party." We go in there, introduced. They followed me on Instagram, who we're friends with now.
Yeah.
And we go to the airport. We're walking to the airport. We're through security and everything like that. Amber gets Starbucks mobile. So we're getting to Starbucks. We go up. I'm standing right there. There's a guy right here to
And
my
I
right.
feel him.
I do too.
And I'm like, I swear he was just at that event we were at.
But I didn't pay attention. He walked up to us.
Yeah.
And it was Eric. And it was the first time that we met. And he said, he was at the house
Yeah.
earlier that day.
When we had came before the party.
And it was an odd silence in the house till my friends came out.
Yeah.
And so when this happened, me and Eric never spoke at
No.
the party or anywhere. And so next thing we know, we start talking and he said, "What do you do?" Blah, blah, blah. We connected on Instagram. We took a photo and left. We need to find that photo.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But anyways, so next thing I know, we left. We kept track of each other, and then he invites us to the event where Amber met Emily, which is wild of how it all What was the chances he was at the same gate in Salt Lake City, Utah airport as us? to go to a completely different place.
Mhm.
Like almost no chance.
Yeah.
But this is called putting yourself out there. And that's when I feel like the past few years, stars have been aligning.
Yeah. Well, when you put yourself in the right rooms and when the doors are opened and when you step through them, that's when like the universe goes to work on your behalf.
Mhm.
And that's what so many people don't realize. You reach a point in time where like you're at a ceiling that you're going to continue to bump your head on that ceiling until you open another door and step through it. You can get very complacent and very comfortable with where you're at, but your spirit continues to long to grow and to achieve that next level of life. And that means you're going to go through a season of getting uncomfortable again. And I've been trying to remind both of us that when we first started out selling gym equipment and selling real estate, we were uncomfortable.
Sure.
It was not comfortable for us to do the things that are now like we could do them blindfolded.
Sure.
We're in that season of like growing and leveling ourselves up and putting ourselves in these bigger rooms around billionaires sometimes where it's uncomfortable again. But like you got to put yourself out there again. You have to be confident in who you are and know you can sometimes bring just as much to the table as these people have. Just because they're financially levels above you does not mean they're internally levels above you. And it's just been beautiful to see, that sometimes people are just as intrigued with us as we're intrigued with them.
Absolutely.
But you can be intimidating to people.
Sure.
And you have to sometimes put off an energy of like being inviting and wanting to interact and being strong and bold and courageous enough to go up like to people like an Ed Milet or an Emily Ford or a Tim Grover. I'll never forget Tim Grover, like let me put on that
Oh, he's so
championship ring
nice.
of, he's so, and that's the other thing is you think these people are going to be snobby and intimidating and scary and not want to talk to you. I have yet to meet one single person that's like that. In fact, we got to walk with he's probably one of the highest trending, maybe just because we're business owners, people on social media recently. You've done business with him, Alex Hormozy, for quite some time. But we just got the opportunity when we were at the Olympia to meet up with him. And he was like, let's just take a walk, which Stephen and I love to walk and talk.
That's
We
all
really
we
should
do,
sometimes film this podcast walking and talking.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do and why we came up with the
hard
idea to
for
do this.
me to sit here.
Yeah, it's hard to sit here. But he was one of the most genuine, kind, down to earth, humble, filled with humility human beings we probably have ever met.
He could be my brother.
But he is a savage
Yeah.
mofo. Like I was like, I'm
Alex,
gonna use this opportunity
yeah.
to like pour into him because I'm like, there's more to life than just getting up at 4 a.m. and
Yeah.
working all day. But if I didn't have kids, I would probably be you too.
If you're watching this, Alex, she's been talking shit about you at 3:50 in the morning walking
I'm
in.
at 4:15 to 4:44, and I'm like, I'm gotta be 3:58 with a nose strip on my nose tomorrow.
But that's the power of influence.
It's the power of influence
Because
because like you make me want to level up.
you make, yeah.
It's
me
iron
too.
sharpens iron.
Yeah.
It's like, if he can do this, I can do it too.
One time we were DMing back and forth, and I forget what we were even talking about, and I was telling him something, and he said, "You're doing great. You're just not doing enough."
Yeah.
And let's talk about that. Was about social media, and so when
It's good for you, for people around you to be able to speak truth in you without you taking offense.
well,
to
when
it.
he told me that, and I forget the way it was worded, fired me up a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, no, I was like, hold on a minute, I'm posting 1 time a day. What happens if I post 4 times a day?
But you listen to him
I
because
did.
he knows
Absolutely.
and he's walked the walk
Right.
and he pays to play. He doesn't just
Absolutely.
do his little ads. He does sponsored ads that
Oh.
retarget people. I mean, do you know how many times a day I see him and Layla on my, since we were around him?
100%.
I mean, it's probably 20 times a day.
Yeah.
I see them on my social media now.
I do too.
That's paying to play. They're paying to be influential more in the social media world. It's just not more in the physical world. You got to
Amber,
pay to play to be
let's talk
influential
about that
in
a
the
little
social
bit.
media world.
I'm going to tell everybody something. I'd rather have 1,000 followers that are engaged and good people who buy from me and
Yeah.
refer me than some people think that you just need thousands or millions, and nowadays you don't. But you've got to produce the good enough content for people to want to watch you. And I feel like
engage.
to engage, but I feel like that comes with time as well.
You got to
Learn-
put in the reps and
and
you
you
got to
gotta-
learn what your people want.
Right. And you got to perfect your craft.
There's also a lot of people that have bought following, and that's sometimes the worst thing that you
Worse.
can do.
Don't do that.
But they're buying it so people feel like they're powerful and successful.
But then you get no engagement.
But you don't get any engagement, so it actually hurts you over time.
I didn't even know this existed.
But I want you to know you don't have to do that.
No,
don't do that. Put in, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's those people are sprinting. They're buying 25,000 followers on Instagram just so they look the part. Be the part.
Yeah.
Become the part. Put in your time.
People
put in
know the
your reps.
difference.
and build it organically, build it naturally. It's much more sustainable, and you build a much stronger foundation over time when you do that on social media or in real life too.
Yeah. No, but at the end of the day, it's like I was on the phone with the gym owner and he's like, Steven, we're averaging $5,000 to $6,000 a month on Google. But their social media, he was telling me, sucked.
Yeah.
And so I said, listen, I think you're going to get a much better return. That's the old school way of doing it. I'm going to be very transparent. I've never spent $1 on a Google ad. You can ask my wife. Never. For a business, for nothing. I've always put my money elsewhere because I've had a strong presence on social media 20 years
But
ago.
you filmed the content and you filmed it consistently.
Right.
And it was real and it was raw and it was relatable.
Sure.
And you have to think, if you're online, you can pay to play, but you essentially need to make sure that you know who your target audience is and you know what their pain points are, and you meet them where they're at and you provide them value where they're at.
Right.
And when you do that consistently over time, and it's not one post once every other day, and I've told you this for a while, and you said, don't post that much. You got to post a few times a day.
Well,
You do have to post more.
Well, let's talk about this too. So this guy changed his format.
Yeah.
I said, I want you to get a good 45 to 60-second video ad, whatever, for your gym. I want you to do a 30-mile radius around your gym and try that. And I said, sponsor that $300.
Yeah.
So this particular gentleman, so I'm talking in the past tense, present. This was not that long ago, but relative. He done this, calls me about a week later, and he's like getting so much better return in leads coming in. And I'm like, bro, you're thinking he's on the gym since the 90s. You're thinking from what you done years ago in probably early 2000s.
You got to evolve. And this is where your circle and
Well,
paying
hear
to play
me out. He don't want his face on social. And I said, that's cool. You don't have to. But I said, get somebody, they'll do it for free. Get somebody to film it within your gym. Just get somebody to film it and get a member to be the face of the video. Like, people love to see themselves on there. And so my point was, he was like, I can't believe what I got value for $300. But he still had to spend the money, because most gym owners, and this is any business owner, I hear this all the time. But Steven, I don't have the money. You're doing yourself a disservice by not spending the money.
You can't afford not to in today's time, because the way social media works, you do have to pay to play.
Right.
You're not going to show up unless you got some skin in the game. But you have to I think you got to build your pillars of who you're going to speak to first. Like, who's your avatar client? What are the 5 pillars you need to speak to them on consistently? And then you got to create content. Then you have to post. If you're a business owner right now and you're not at least posting 2 times a day, you're hurting yourself exponentially.
Well, most business owners, babe, I think don't even post 2 times a week.
Right. You got to post a couple times a day. And then once you are posting, you then need to sponsor your ads to get in front of other people that are already like your people.
Right.
That are already like your target audience that's following
I
you.
think at first, if you're posting good organic content,
Yeah.
you don't need
It'll start to build naturally.
You don't need any sponsor, because I didn't have anything for years.
No.
And I think you need to build that organic base
Do it
first.
hardcore for a couple years before
Right.
you start to do sponsored
Here's the
things.
thing. They would just be shocked what consistency does.
Yeah.
Consistency, guys. Consistency.
Is the name of the game.
I'll put it to you like this. Consistency of a diet. Most people want to lose weight, but they fail because they ate good for 3 days, and on day 4, they
Binge.
excuse my language, they fucked it all up. And next thing I know, they're back to square root 0 on day 5. So they post consistency. So like this podcast, we post every week on Wednesday. Every single week, a new podcast. Me and Amber, the first video didn't get a ton of views. In fact, it got more views a month or 2 after it was originally posted.
When the following grew.
Well, guess what? If we would have just gave up on the first, second, third video, you can't do that. It's the same thing with social. Of course, and before we end, I'll talk about this real quick. I'll never forget, Amber, when I told you out of the blue, I'm going to start a Facebook. My business didn't have a website for 10 years for the gym equipment. It's amazing that I'm like,
You were consistent though on Craigslist.
yeah, I was, but I call it redneck engineering. I was just doing the best I had. And so anyways, I know for several months, I posted every day a piece of gym equipment on Facebook. I didn't have a following for the business page, and then nobody called, of course. And then out of the blue, I got a call. And the guy said, hey, do you have this inner outer thigh? And I've spoke about this story. Yes, sir. Where are you located? I mean, he was in Pennsylvania. I was like, I said, okay. He said, I'll take it. Can you ship it to me? Y'all, we were truck and trailering it. We didn't even know
We
what
were
the hell
loading it up and personally
yeah, we
delivering
were
it.
like personally delivering. I'm like, yes, sir, I can.
Figure it out.
I'll figure it out. So my right hand guy, Bryce, I'm like, Bryce, we got to palletize this thing and ship it. We don't know what the hell we're doing, but we're like, we'll figure it out. But let me tell you something. It ain't about the piece of equipment.
No.
This is about the light bulb went off in my head. And I told her, I said, listen, we're selling a lot of gym equipment in North, South Carolina, Georgia, local to me in a sense, with few hour radius. If I can sell this around the world. And so he got the piece of equipment. He thanked me. I saved him thousands of dollars. And I knew I was only something. I just got to create a bigger following. That page by 2017 had grew to 128,000 followers. That was the peak of it. That's when Facebook, I think, was probably at its
In its
biggest.
prime. In regards to like business Facebooks and growth.
Right.
With before you had to pay to play.
Yeah. So you could organically grow. The problem is now the algorithms are holding you back. That once you get to a certain point,
We didn't even know what an
algorithm.
I can't even say it.
Algorithm.
Algorithm was back then, honestly.
And honestly, they're changing it so much.
Yeah, it changes all the time. That's why we're saying right now what's trending is just you being consistent
Authentic.
and going multiple times a
Right.
day. And it's not even the polished videos. It's the videos that you sometimes just film like this because people know that they're not scripted. They know that they're not professional. It's just you. You being you is what people are genuinely wanting.
Well, this podcast. Do we have anything?
No.
But,
But
like-
this morning we were like, what are we filming today? What are
Yeah, I mean-
because I want this to be raw. I
Off
want
the
it to be
cuff.
off the cuff. I don't want it to be scripted. Eventually, when we have guests on and we need to be a little bit more prepared, we will. But I just want it to be him and I and like what our conversations look like walking.
Yeah. So our goal is we're going to continue doing it this way for a little bit. And then we want to bring, when we got our new setup getting done, we want to bring guests on. And then we'll do longer podcasts or talk about, whatever the guest, let's say, wants to talk about it. But I like good, hard questions on the spot for people. It kind of catches people off guard. But it also, that's when you get the best out of them, in my opinion.
Their most raw, authentic version of themselves. Our biggest goal in life in general is to be the most raw, authentic version of ourselves as we possibly can, but also to make the people around us feel like they can be that too.
Right.
In good times and in bad. That's
Right. Anything else you want to say, babe?
No, I think that was a good one.
All right. If you like this podcast, please like and subscribe. We are going to continue having some good ones. Please drop us comments and let us know what you think. We will see you on the next one.